And welcome everyone to another episode of What Now? I apologize for this sweaty look because it is 90 something degrees, and over here in Amsterdam we do not have AC, so I'm just so hot. I had to put on clothes for this because obviously I don't want to sit here in my underwear or my bikini, but I had to put the hair up because it's just no way. I'm just sweating too much to be doing a talk right now, but it's okay. We are going to do it. And I have an amazing guest today by the name of Kevin Teasley, who is an amazing person in the music industry and film and entertainment, actually. So it'll be interesting to hear his take on the industry, on how he's coping with the pandemic and everything. And see how his career started and how he's navigating in the entertainment industry. He's already here. Thank you. He's on time. And I will get him in here right now. Whew, I'm so hot. Yeah, we live without AC over here on this side of the pond because it never gets this hot. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I am so hot. I was just telling people, excuse this sweaty mess that I am.
No worries at all.
I tried to do a little bit with my hair, like I had to do it up because it was just so hot. And
is it hot there now?
It's like probably 90 degrees in my apartment right now. Yeah.
Really?
We do not have AC here, and I normally do my hair for these talks, and I started in March when it was a little bit cold still, but now it's a heat wave going on.
No worries. No worries. You look great. No worries.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a little tan, so got to show that.
Can you send some of that my way?
Okay. Here you go.
And everything are closed, so I need a little sun.
Yeah, you need to go outside. You live in LA, so.
I know. I think some of the beaches are closed. Some of them are open. It's kind of hard each day to keep up with. Is it open or is it closed? So.
Well, don't you have like a backyard or something?
We have a backyard, but real estate is at a premium here in LA. So in your backyard, you're saying hello to your neighbors.
Right. That's the same over here. Like if I sit on my balcony, I can wave to like at least 20 people.
100%. Absolutely.
Neighbors. You've been here, but thank you so much for wanting to.
Thank you for having me
on my little series called What Now.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an amazing journey for me, starting this series end of March and now being in mid-August. You are my, I think, number 45.
Wow.
45.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the way we came across each other was interesting because I think you started following me. I don't know why.
Well, we have a few mutual friends. Is that I saw my good brother Amadeus post something.
Oh, right.
And then I was like, oh, and then I, just naturally being curious, I was like, oh, want to see the interview. And then I saw that it had passed. And then I was like, oh, she looks like a, cool person to follow. And then I followed you, and then we just started exchanging. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I saw you following me, and I saw on your bio, like some interesting stuff, because you're not, and you and I had this talk a little bit before, but you're not an artist, you're not in the spotlight, you're not a producer that's in the spotlight, but you have done so much in this industry that I figured like I need you to be a guest on my show.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Because I believe that you have some extreme value to give out to people that are either dabbling in music or entertainment. Your career has amazing highlights and amazing different aspects of the industry, which I wanted to address as I'm sweating off my chair here. Oh my God.
I see my bro Carice is here.
Well, you can shout out anyone that you see.
Hey guys, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. And as you can see in the pinned comment, please, if you have any questions, put them in the question box, and I will try to get to all of the questions.
Absolutely.
Aside of my own.
Sure.
So yeah, first of all, before we get into who you exactly are and what you do, how are you dealing with the Corona Society, to call it? How has that been for you since the lockdown in March?
Sure. It's been a challenge, I'm sure, like for most people. It's been an adjustment, I should say. you approach the challenge and try to find solutions instead of just, woe is me type of mentality. I'm sure a lot of us kind of went through that, and that's normal. And I don't want to necessarily say healthy, but that's a human process to go, oh my gosh, what are we doing? There's fear involved. There's the unknown. And I think that's what bothers people the most. And in the music industry, whether it's doing records or whether it's recording or even TV and film, we got shut down for the most part in the beginning. Live concerts weren't happening, and that's a lot of what I do for live concerts. So what we did as a team and as a music family on my side is that we just kind of circled the wagons and came up with solutions. And we probably had maybe, 50 ideas on the table, but if 49 of them are bad ideas, you come out with one, and then you try them and you see what works, and then weather the storm. And if you, as a musician, and as a brand, you come up with expanding business models. Not say you change who you are and what you do, but you do have to adjust for things being a little different. Creative. Yeah, like I have another one of my friends, I think I saw log on, Lauren. She's a violist down in Florida, and plays in the symphony down there, and their schedule is altered. So there's a little bit of change. I always tell people I'll be honest with them. And of course, the first month I kind of went through my human reaction of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Everything got canceled at the last minute and everything. So, but you just stay the course. I mean, if you give yourself in analogous terms, when everything happened, Louis Vuitton noticed that people weren't going to necessarily be buying purses and shoes, but they made Louis Vuitton masks. You try to see the opportunity of what we've done is taken this time to shore up our team, train our team a little bit more, train myself, pursue different avenues, do some things that you normally didn't have time to do. So,
what is one of the things that your team came up with that you wouldn't have thought of if this pandemic didn't happen?
Yes. One of the things that we've been meaning to do for the longest time is continue to grow our music library. A lot of times when we do TV shows or you do a concert, whether it be budgetary reasons or time reasons, sometimes you don't necessarily have the time to come up with something brand new from scratch. So we've really taken the time to say, let's, shore up our music library so that we can have stuff that's available to people. So we've spent a lot of time on that, coming up with hundreds of cues for that. And we've been meaning to do that for a while, but, knock on wood, we've been, busy until everything happened. So we never got a chance to do that. Two things is opening up the team to more young guys and young ladies. Don't bring in more new fresh blood and things like that. Having the time to not train them, but show them how you do things in your workflow. So we've been opening up to that, because usually when you're on a project, you don't necessarily have the time to train someone brand new when you're in the fire of doing a gig. So we've had more time to do that and bring people in, and that's going to be a big part of what we do. I'm always been a big fan. At one point in time, I was a young buck, and I just needed a chance. I needed an opportunity. You wish you had somebody like you. So a lot of times it is tough love, because I owe it to you to be tough on you, to not let you slide with subpar or industry standard work. But it is all done in love. But it is tough.
But you don't want, if a person's going to be trained and part of your team, they're going to have to reflect the quality of work that you bring out as your team. So you can't have anybody, under par.
Absolutely. And what I try to do, and I hope we do successfully, is I'm just trying to impart to you sound philosophies that'll work in any camp you work with. Now, in those sound philosophies, there's a way that our camp does it, but those same sound philosophies would work in your camp. But you might have to, change a little thing here or there. But, being organized, time management, media asset management, how to answer an email, how to answer a text, NDA, all those sorts of
Right.
things. How to label files.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a minute
No
because
problem.
because I did ask the wrong question. See this thing?
No.
I did ask the wrong question because my question before that should have been for the people that are tuned in, because I see a lot of my friends tune in. Hi, thank you all. Thank you for joining on this hot day.
Right.
They may not know who you are. Kevin Teasley, can you sum up what you exactly do?
Yes. So what I do, there's two parts of what I do. One of them is I'm a music director and a programmer for recording artists. And then the other part of what I do is I produce and compose music for TV and film. They're kind of separate, but a lot of times they intersect. Some of the artists I've worked with is Jennifer Lopez, Chris Brown, Backstreet Boys tour, lately Britney Spears. And what I normally do is, let's say you're an artist and you have a record deal, you're doing a tour or something like that. Your management or you would send over your assets, and what we do is we build a concert from your, what we call stems of your record, and we build your concert. Doesn't always have to be a full concert. It could be an award show like the Grammys or Billboard Awards. But I'm that person behind the man behind the curtain, so to speak.
But do you then, because I've never talked to anybody that does that before.
Sure.
So if you build the concert, do you have to do you get a freedom of creativity to build the concert with the input from the artist, and then have to instruct the musicians? Because I would think the musicians are going to actually play the
sure. It's it's a wheel with a lot of cogs in the wheel, a lot of moving parts. The way the pyramid, first to answer you get freedom within the vision.
Right.
And within that vision, there's many revisions of you're getting notes of the change things. And sometimes, just like you're playing the old game of Battleship, very seldomly do you hit the bullseye when you say B3 the first time you sunk the person's battleship.
Right.
But you have to take that first shot over the bow to kind of see, when you say the color blue, are we talking this color blue or that color blue?
Right.
So you're trying to narrow in that vision. But the pyramid is, of course, the artist and management. Then there's the creative director. Then you have your music director, your lighting director, and so on departments. There's many meetings.
That's a lot of people to work with. That's a big team.
It's a big team. And when you're so lucky to the numerous teams that I've worked with, everyone's top notch at what they do.
Okay.
And whether they're just starting out or whether they've been doing it for a while, everyone really, of course, cares about what they do and, their brand and of course, the artist vision. And there's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of, before it even gets to the band and to the dancers to put on the show, there's a lot of demos that go back and forth. Sometimes
we're talking about big shows. Like how do I say this? When you're an artist, at what point do you hire a person like you and that whole team?
It depends on the artist and the scope of the show or the tour, but you can start your conceptual phase 3 to 4 months out. You can start conversations a year out of, hey, next summer I'm going on tour. I'm planning on releasing this album. I'm planning on doing a feature with this artist. Hey, there's my cousin, Mike Washington. Yeah.
I feel like I know him from somewhere.
He's a producer and DJ, also from Virginia, but lives in Philly.
He knows a lot of my friends in Philly, so I feel like I've met him before.
Yeah, that's the cousin.
That's the other story.
Yeah. And it could be a year out. It could be 6 months out. Sometimes, depending on if it's a one-off, like a AMAs or a Billboard or something like that, you could come in 2 weeks beforehand. It really does all depend, but mostly for tours, it's anywhere between a year and 6 months off of just conceptualizing.
But at what level do you have to be as an artist?
As far as to have that year conceptual?
No, to actually build a show for that,
I would say,
to that capacity.
I would say that depends on the individual, because I know a lot of indie artists that will. that will build that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a community. It is. You want to be a part of something, but of course, things cost money.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky enough to sit in this beautiful Studio A here, and it's that just to keep the lights on.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I can't and won't work with someone.
Right.
There's ways to always do something.
That was the question. And
yeah,
then also,
one of my sayings is that let's come up with an amazing idea first, and then let's see how to afford your idea. If you want jets and planes flying everywhere, okay, maybe it's not the military jets, right? Maybe it's your cousin owns a plane, maybe, but but let's come up with amazing ideas, and then let's figure it out. You always want great ideas,
right? And so, what is the difference between? Well, I guess I know the difference, but what is the biggest difference between you and a typical music director for a concert or tour?
Sure. There's many music directors, and there's different hats and levels of a hat. There are some music directors that are music directors on the stage, meaning they play an instrument and they are part of that. Right, exactly right. Great example. Adam Blackstone, all those guys like that.
Yeah.
Me, because I'm so behind the scenes also with the production part, as they are as well, I'm better served at my skill set not being on the stage at this point in my career.
Right.
Not that I don't want ever be again.
Do you play instruments?
I do play. I have a bachelor's degree in jazz piano.
Nice.
And I went to graduate school, and so, but when I moved out to LA, I've been here for maybe 20 years now.
You're so old. I'm kidding.
I know, I am. I've been around.
You've been around, yeah.
Yeah, I've been around. So, but yeah, for me, for what I do, I feel, and another MD friend of mine, Mitch Cohn, who's amazing, he's Chris Brown's MD. Him and I are kind of similar, is that we feel we're better served to float around.
Right.
To be at the, if I'm concentrating on my instrument and playing, then for me, I'd rather be floating around in the broadcast truck, talking to the director, talking to the lighting person.
Everything goes smooth.
Right. And that doesn't mean one approach is better than the other. They're all valid.
Right.
But for me, Mitch and I have a very similar formula of how. Now he still plays with Chris on the last couple of tours, but I don't think he did the last one.
Are you going to be on the next tour?
I don't know. I
need you to come back to Amsterdam.
Tour. Hey Tay, what's up, brother? Lauren, thank you. Lauren and I went to graduate school together.
She says you're amazing on the keys. I believe.
Yeah, those were in my young buck days. I used to practice 6-8 hours a day. But yeah, the great thing is we're all a family, and then we understand that people go from gig to gig. If I'm not available for one Chris gig, I'll maybe do another one. But there's, every team has several people for a position, because you never know who's available or who's not available. So you have to.
So when you toured with Amadeus, right?
Yeah, we did a co-bill tour. It was Trey Songz and Chris Brown.
Oh, okay.
And Amadeus MD'd from the stage.
Right.
And him and I hit it off when we first met.
He's such with everyone he first met.
I mean, he's a great dude,
He is,
and we used to just have fun, another saying that I have is that I say I have serious fun. I take what I do very seriously so that we can have fun.
Serious
fun.
When
we're out on tour, you want to be able to have fun. So if you don't have your ish together, you can't have fun, because you're always doing a fire drill. So yeah, Amadeus and I hit it off. We stayed in touch. We would bump into each other, award show, he's performing with this person. But he's Trey's guy, so wherever Trey is, he's there making, doing his MD thing with Trey.
And so how was touring? Well, you toured with Brandon and you toured with Romeo. So I want to know how was it.
Romeo was on the Trey Songz, Chris Brown tour on the Trey side. And Brandon and I used to, he's MDing now for the Jacksons.
The Jacksons, yeah.
Yeah, him and I maybe over 10 years ago, we're working together with the Jacksons, so as we were talking on the phone earlier, it's such a small circle here in any industry, I believe. It's a small circle as you go throughout your career. So you're going to see people again, and you watch their journey and they watch yours, and you support each other. And Brandon is another person that's immensely talented.
Yes.
And as talented as he is, he's the same as being humble.
And he's such a, you know, the funny thing is that all the people that I now know or knew before these talks, and I come to find out everyone knows each other, you all have the same positive energy. You all have the same positive outlook, which is something that I'm extremely happy about, because that means I'm, you know, roaming in the good circle. So I like to believe I have the same energy. So
you do.
You know, we attract what we give out. And so it's, to me, I can't say this enough for the people that are tuned in. I'm extremely grateful to know all these talented people, and extremely happy to find out that everyone is working together at some point, or did, or will be, because there's a lot of people that will be working together based off of the connections that are made through this live talk. So I'm definitely grateful to be able to make that connection.
And we're grateful as well.
But also, what I find interesting is that there's the vets, so to speak. You know, you're up there with the vets, being in this industry for however long, and then you have like the kind of new generation. So I would say the maybe even the Chris Browns and the Trey Songz are you know, the newer generation than you and a Romeo, or you know, even an Amadeus, even though he's young, but he's been in this game for so long,
for a long time.
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, what is some of the advice that you have gotten throughout your career that stuck with you and that you've always applied and give out to the younger generation?
Sure. Anyone that knows me, and I have to smile when I say this, anyone that knows me knows my number one pet peeve is being late.
We are the same.
Right. And I'll explain it on a musical level as well as, you know, just a life level.
Yeah.
On a gig, nothing tells the person that hired you that this isn't important than you being late.
Yes.
Nothing tells the artist that this isn't important to you. Now, I don't mean that things don't happen in life. There's always an accident on the freeway, and there's traffic and everything like that.
No, you factor that in when you go to an important gig.
But just because you live in LA, you can't always use the traffic thing. Thanks, cousin. That's right. Nothing says more that this is not important. There was a time when me and my cousin and I were back in Virginia, and all we did was sit around. My uncle, his dad, we just sit around and dream about being in these positions. And then when you're blessed and fortunate enough to be in these positions, you're going to be late. It's Murphy's Law. Something will always go wrong. There's a drummer here in town, Chris Johnson, who's one of the top level and first call drummers with Lady Gaga and Rihanna. I've never done a gig with him that he's not there an hour ahead of time, because he needs to tune his drums. He needs to get a cup of coffee. He wants to say, hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, sister, good to see you. And then if something goes wrong, he has time to check it. I always say to anyone, what you do on a gig, whether it's at your church or whether it's at your neighborhood, there is no on switch. You're going to take that over into a professional level situation. Not being on time, it doesn't matter how amazing you are on the keyboard if you're not there. It doesn't matter how great you are singing if you're not there. Always, and I can't say this enough, always act as if when that downbeat says 8 or 12 noon, that means not walk in the room with your backpack. And thank you, Joy. What's up, Joy? Joey's a killing keyboard player in New York. What's up, Joy D? Nothing says you don't walk into the room. You have to pretend that the artist is there with the microphone ready to go. Yeah. That means in your space. For me, I always get to a gig or rehearsal anywhere between an hour and a half to an hour before, because I do want to say hello to everyone. Then I can talk.
But it's also relaxing. You don't have to rush. You can make sure everything's in order.
100%. And nothing. And then also I always say rehearsal doesn't start until the last person gets there. Because if you're the drummer and we're going over a song, we have to go over it again.
Listen, you don't want to be the last. You don't
100%. And it's, again, not that things don't happen, but if out of 100 times you're late one time,
that's
99% of the time I'll understand. but there's people that, you know, that it's their MO. I've been in situations where the artist is there and waiting for a person, whether it's a dancer or a band person, you know, and as the MD or leader, you have to fall on that sword. You have to try to find, so now you're putting your boss, everyone has a boss.
Yeah.
And if the MD is responsible for you as the band member, so I can't throw you under the bus. So it puts a lot of stress on that person who hired you to kind of cover for you.
But it makes you look bad.
It does. And
you know.
Nothing, you know, for someone to have to say, hey, where's so-and-so? Tell them to come on back in. We're ready to start rehearsal. And anyone out here in a band, from a jazz band to a church choir to a touring, knows that feeling of just be in your position. You're being paid to be here.
Right.
So even if you're sitting there, and sometimes, to be honest, I might be sitting in my position for 20 minutes waiting for the artist, bored out my brain.
But that's the artist.
I'm in my position, so when they come in, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And
they
if I'm
don't have
bored,
to wait on nobody.
100%. And then they should never have to wait on you.
Right.
If they come an hour late, you should be sitting there when they walk in the room. And if it's a great thing if you're sitting at your position and you're bored. Right. That means nothing is going wrong. You're kind of in a good spot. So that's one of my main things of, you know, all of us have a yeah, but we're human beings. You don't want someone to say, oh yeah, Pay Fresh, she's an amazing singer, but is she late for you all the time? You know, that sort of thing. And you don't want to not get hired because of that.
Right.
You know,
okay, just for the people that don't know me, I'm not a singer.
but I'm using that as an example.
Yeah. I know you did, but
sure.
Some people
and that's important. Just being
being on time.
Timely. It's very so, sorry, go ahead.
One of my friends, my good friend Malik Yoba, the actor, I've done 2 talks with him, so feel free to watch them on IGTV.
Absolutely.
He once wrote a book about being on time. He gave me the book. I lent it out to somebody and I never got it back. I forgot who it was. So it was about why you should always be on time and why you should expect people to be on time, because it has a lot to do with respecting other people's time, respecting 100%. Other people's money. We're at an age where time is money, and just basically showing professionality. That 100%. All is something that, well, I've always been very much, I'm always early. I'm not even on time. I'm always
as you
early
should.
Because I'm always scared something's going to happen, or, you know, I just want to be chill. I don't ever want to be in a position where I have to rush and feel like I can't start my day right. And so when he gave me that book years ago, I read the book. I was like, this is really on point. And I think I gave it to somebody that needed to read the book. That's probably what it was. But I'm very much with you as far as the being on time, because if I'm putting my time on the line for you and I'm investing my time in you, then I expect the same courtesy back. And we all have cell phones. So let me know if you're late. Don't let me know at the time that we're supposed to meet, because you know you're going to be late half hour before, 10 minutes before.
Sure.
Call me, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, you won't call me 5 minutes after you were supposed to be here that you're going to be late. That's I'm upset.
For those who don't know, there would be no us if it wasn't for what we consider the godfather of music directors, Ricky Minor. And one of the things and I grew up under his he gave me my first gig. And he says, if you're on time, you're late. If you are on time, you're late. And there's, not to date myself, but I used to, back in my young buck days myself, I used to be a writer under Stu Gardner. He used to be the composer for The Bill Cosby Show, Living Single, Different World. And he had a bunch of clocks in his house. And I used to always ask him, you know, hey, Stu, why do you have all these clocks in your house? Like, I'm a young buck. I'm 18, 19 in college. And he was like, it just reminds him never to waste time, because you can get health back. You can get money back. You can get your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your car back. One thing you can never get back is time. So I never waste time, and I don't want to waste anyone else's time.
Right.
So that's my biggest thing that I think, you know, as far as, of course, I'm operating on the given that you're good at what you do.
Right.
You know,
obviously,
you have a skill set.
Talent,
After that, it's, you know, again, if you're not here.
It has a lot to do with work ethic as well. I think that's really a big part of work ethic, because if your work ethic is on point, you'll never be too late.
Absolutely.
Never late. that has it ties
and
in.
if something happens, like you did, to jump back to what you said, if something happens, we know life happens.
Right.
If something happens, call me an hour ahead of time. So that
Right.
way, like Jerry Maguire, help me, help you.
Right.
I can try to then maneuver the rehearsal to say, oh, let's start here, or
Right.
let's do something else, or let's have a, you know, if the drummer's going to be late, you know, let's do something with the background vocals to kind of, you know, because we are a team. And one thing Chris
there's
Brown
always
said,
something to do.
absolutely, and one thing Chris Brown says when we were on tour, if one of us messes up, we all mess up.
Yeah, you all look terrible.
We all look bad. So you can't just say, it wasn't my fault, I was here.
Yeah,
no, the band isn't here.
This team effort. This is a team effort.
It's the team. We have to take the hits together, and we take the wins. You have to take the W's and the L's together. But your MD will fall on that sword for you.
Yeah.
You know, it just gets hard when you feel like, you know, I fall on the sword for you. You have to be there for me. Right. And let's just win as a team. You know.
Okay, going back to the rest of the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Time is very important. You can't get it back. Be on time. Respect everybody's time, basically.
Sure.
So you have worked with literally all the greats.
So fortunate.
I read in your bio that you modeled your career after Quincy Jones, one of the greatest. Now, you and I already talked about you can't really follow anybody's path because everybody has their own way in this industry to success. What was for you the turning point where you felt like, oh my gosh, this is it. I've kind of made it. I'm in a position now where I can keep doing what I do or what I love.
Sure. I hope that anyone out there feels that they've never made it. I work with Jennifer Lopez, and she still works like she's Jenny from the block. Right. You know, so I totally get your sentiment. I still feel like I have so much to prove, not to people per se, but to me, things that I want to do.
But what was the turning point where you were in a position to continue doing what you do?
Sure. I'm from a small town, Hopewell, Virginia, that's 20 minutes south of Richmond, Virginia. So we're kind of in that 804 area code, 804. And I always felt and knew in my soul that I could be with the best of the best. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be in LA. There's killing musicians and producers, as we see everywhere, Chicago, Houston, you know, Dallas and Miami. So I'm not saying you have to be in New York or LA, but I always felt like I wanted to be doing it amongst. And when I was in Richmond, it's pretty hard to have access to Jennifer Lopez or Chris Brown. But when you're in LA or New York City, one of the bigger cities, access is still a challenge, but it's not like I'm a coast away from them. Dave Wood, he's Andre Day's MD. Nice to see you, brother.
What's up, Dave? Thanks for joining.
Muzak, what's up, brother? Zach Moore, he's a killing piano player. He's in the Kanye West choir.
So many key players.
Yeah.
Like.
Motif. Motif, one of the most killing Latin producers. Thanks for joining, brother. Good to see you, bro.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, that's the guy to talk to. He's what's up, brother?
Okay, well, Motif, I'm gonna hit you up. I gotta
for
talk
sure.
To you, so,
yeah. Joey D. Is that I felt that if this makes any sense, and I'm sure all of my brothers miss you too, brother. I'm sure all of my friends out there who are MDs, whatever, there's I don't want to use the word insecurity, but there's that yearning to like always feel like, hey, you know, I want to do more. And to go back to Ricky Minor, I say this almost every interview, always in the back of my head, I always hear the 5 phases of everyone's career that Ricky Minor taught me almost 20 years ago. He said, phase 1, when you're a young buck, is who the hell is Kevin Teasley?
Right.
Phase 2, who the hell is this Kevin Teasley I keep hearing about? Phase 3, get me Kevin Teasley. Phase 4, get me a cheaper, younger Kevin Teasley. Phase 5, who the hell is Kevin Teasley? So when you realize that all of us have as much of a legend that he is, that I try to pattern my career after Quincy Jones, he's not producing anyone's records right now. Everyone has their point in history and a point in time in the universe. So you're always working hard because, let's just face it, there's someone in Idaho right now that's coming for all of us.
Right.
That's doing some of the
new
baddest
generation. Yeah.
You don't even know who they are.
Right.
And so, you know, they're coming for you. And when I say you, they're coming for the industry. They're the next hot thing.
They're the next big name.
They're the next Pharrell. They're the next Motif. You know what I'm saying? So,
they're the next Teasley.
Trying, you know, but you really have to think about that. You really have to. You think Tom Brady's taking a playoff? Tom Brady's still playing football like he has something to prove. LeBron James played that way. Kobe, who I kind of met in passing one time in life, but never really met him. That's my mentality. It's like I come to, you know, one thing I've always said, and I love Will Smith as well, is that you might be better than me, but I promise you, you won't outwork me. Like,
right. Yes. You said that. Yep.
You're going to quit before I do.
And this is for me, what you described of those phases are the life cycle of a name in the industry, whatever you want to call it, an artist and whoever.
Sure.
And I never thought of that way. I've talked to so many artists, like I've talked to hundreds of artists, and this is the first time somebody describes that like me, like you, and it makes me think about, this is one of the biggest reasons why you have to keep working. Like, unless you're at a point where you're like, okay, I'm done with this career, I'm going to try something else. That's
sure.
it. But if you want to stay on top of the game and keep doing what you do and stay relevant, I guess you're going to have to stay working.
Sure. And, you know, dinosaurs go extinct, you know, and no matter what you do. So, but that doesn't mean that Dre is doing the same thing he did back in the 80s with NWA. Your career has a metamorphosis,
right?
You know, and you evolve. I'm not, you know I can't compete with Joey D up in New York killing on keys. I don't practice 6 to 8 hours a day anymore. Right. He would play circles around me, but you know, but there was a point in time in life that's what I did,
right?
You know, and then there was no way I was going to be an MD doing pop gigs and still practicing 6 hours a day. You know,
so what is your legacy that you're leaving behind when you're in your career?
Sure. You know what, and I'm not trying to over romanticize the process when I say this. That's left up to the universe to decide. You know, I'm just trying to do good work. But again, I really do, like, I'm a huge fan of Quincy Jones. You know, He started as a trumpet player. And
have you worked with him?
And I never have, and I'm somehow I'm going to do it. Bucket list.
The speaking into existence.
Right.
Kevin is going to work right with Quincy Jones.
Exactly right. You know, and he started as a trumpet player. People don't know, you know, he was doing big band arrangements. He was an A&R person for It's My Party. I Can Cry If I Want To. Then went on to do Thriller. Most people only know him from Thriller, you know.
Yeah.
And some things.
Documentary. It's all in there.
Right. You know, so exactly. That's right, Zach. And, you know, you can, I do believe in you can do whatever you want to do. But for me, I don't believe in trying to be a master, you know, what they say, a jack of all trades, master of none. There's things in my wheelhouse that I do really well. And that's what I do. Right. And if a client called me and said, Kevin, I need some country piano. I don't play country piano, but I know who to call.
Right.
That I know is great at that. And that's what I mean by building your team and your network. Yeah. But it also goes back to, I'm not going to call the person that's a great piano player that's going to be late, country piano player.
No, you're going to call the right person that does everything on point, because it reflects on you, who you refer.
I'll tell you a transparent story. I remember when most of us, if you went to college to study music, there is a point that you go through this ideologue phase and this purist phase. And when I was an undergrad, you know, everything was Wynton Marsalis. Everything was, you know, Branford Marsalis and Kenny Garrett and Kenny Kirkland on piano and Mulgrew Miller. And I would watch some of the TV shows and I would see the band. And I don't mind being transparent about this because I was 18 years old.
Right.
And I was like, oh, man, that guy isn't so good. I could play his gig. But I bet you it's not just that's why they're on the gig. Because sometimes, most of the time, it's not what you play, it's what you don't play.
Right.
If you're in the band for Ariana Grande and all my piano players on here, if the chord in the song is C, E, G, play C, E, G. Don't give me all your cool substitutions and
your
things
own
like that.
improvised versions.
Play the record. And the best way I can say is, if you play the record, approach it two different ways. Learn the record, and then learn your kitchen sink way. Because if you're in rehearsal, the artist may say, "Give me a little something." So, but you know the spirit and the song. I've seen people come in and play some of the most amazing, excuse me, stuff, but it's not the record. And the artist is going, Motif, that's right. Yeah. But the artist is going, "This is not my record. Like, where's my record?"
I'm an artist manager as well, and I've managed an artist that was dealing with bands, and the best thing is a band that plays exactly how you want it, and then adds the flavor that lifts that music, but not the flavor that is making it the way they want it to sound. That's not nothing, and that to me separates great musicians from good musicians.
Absolutely. And those great musicians aren't always the ones that have the most digital dexterity, meaning they can play John Coltrane. Yes. No, they understand being a professional pop musician. And I'm specifically talking about pop. If you're doing other styles of music, but also it's about the psychology of it. Nothing helps bend the artist's ear to your way of interpretation by the respect of showing them that you know their record note for note.
Exactly.
So if Motif does a Latin record and it's a reggaeton beat in there and he's going boom, ka-chum, chak, tum, chakum, chak, nothing gets the artist feeling better in that rehearsal than to hear that drummer playing it just like he did it, with the exact sound.
Yes.
And that's the MD's job. And Motif and I have worked together with J-Lo. That's the MD's job, that I would contact Motif and say, "Hey, can you send me those drum stems? Send me your guitar stem. Send me your sound effects stem, because we want to have those things in the record." Drummer Phil, he was on tour with us with J-Lo too. Awesome percussionist and drummer as well. I call him Dr. Phil. I call him Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
He's a great dude.
I'm looking at the time. I want to cut off your talking about this. I want to go on to the next question, which I think will be interesting for people watching this as well. We talked about success. We talked about what makes somebody professional, what makes somebody great. What is one of your biggest, I don't want to say failures, but maybe mistakes that you've made that taught you a big lesson in your career? Besides being late.
No, sure, right. And I'm not I promise I'm not trying to give some over romanticized answer. It's fear. It's fear. All bad decisions tend to be based in fear. If someone comes into a rehearsal and they're too prideful, that's based out of fear.
Yeah. Insecurity or
every decision I've made in life that have been, for the most part, bad decisions have been based in fear.
Wow.
And so,
can you give me one example? Like a song.
There's been times, and Carrie and I have had a talk about it with their company, The Lab, is that you're afraid that you're not prepared. I was, I won't say the artist, but I was called to MD an artist early on in my career, and I didn't take it because I thought I wasn't ready.
Right.
And of course, if you truly aren't ready, don't put yourself or the artist in that position.
Right.
But just making those decisions of, let me not take this because I'm not ready. I'm in fear. Or another fear-based decision is comparing yourself to other people.
But I want to what was a situation with a certain gig or a certain thing you don't forget about your failure?
Yeah, well, maybe because I've been doing it so long. I can't think of, to be honest, I can't think of.
Wait, is it Phil's birthday today?
It is his birthday.
Happy birthday, drummer Phil.
Dr. Phil. Happy birthday, brother. Yeah. I can't think of a specific, but I can say, over the course of since moving to LA and having a 20-year career, is that it could be the smallest thing, or the biggest thing. I can't think of I'll think about it and send it to you, but I can't think of something where.
Circle back.
Yeah, I will, and we can share it.
Next question, because people, if you do have questions, please put them in the question box.
Yeah, please do.
I think they're learning a lot from you, and they've already learned a lot from you.
Please do.
So, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thoughts. Oh yeah, so you've worked with literally everybody in the book. Who would you say was the greatest person to work with, or one of the great people?
Yes. I can say unequivocally, one of the, in a good way, the most demanding of excellence artists that I've ever worked with is Jennifer Lopez.
I was about to say J-Lo.
Yeah, I mean, you all, hey, Andrea, hey girl. Jennifer Lopez has been the most demanding of you and all of us that work with her. Artists that no one's even close.
Right.
But the thing about her, like Kobe Bryant, to use an analogy, she's the first one in the gym, the last one to leave. When you see her working hard, you know, how can you not work hard?
Yeah.
You know, and what I do see that I do take from her and connect with is that she's always trying to top what she did last. You know, I hope that, you know, for all of us musicians, you want people to hear your next record, hear your next concert, hear your next production, and go, wow, that sure is 10 times better than what they were doing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I hope that every time people see me throughout my journey in my career, that they're
bar.
going, wow, Kevin keeps raising the bar for himself.
Right.
And I'm doing things that, you know, that keep challenging myself. But Jennifer Lopez, you know, 100%, as Dr. Phil is saying, is that I've learned, honestly, the most of, you know, just having that commitment to excellence.
Yeah.
You know, and just having no one ever be able to question, like we talked about on the phone, everyone's not going to always like you for whatever reason, your hairstyle, your sneakers, your accent, but you want people to never question your work. You know,
that's something,
your work.
That's something that I really know about J-Lo, because when she first came out singing, everybody had comments about how she, of course, because I mean, she may not be the greatest singer, but she's a great entertainer and performer, and that makes the whole package. And I don't think, you know, I've never got the chance to meet her or talk to her, but she's one of the artists that I never questioned has impeccable work ethic. Like, you can just tell. You can just tell. Impeccable.
And I do connect with that. I hope that when people work with me, know that I have only one gear, whether you're paying me $1 or $1 million, or you're a local artist.
That's how it should be.
I'm going to give you everything I got, because what I don't want, what people also, and if Motif's still on, what people always have to remember is, there was a point in history when Timberland wasn't a household name.
Yeah.
There was a point in history when Dr. Dre was just a cat in the hood, that he wasn't Dr. Dre. You have to remember that, not just because of business purposes, but just to be, the given is to be a good human being in general. Treat everyone with respect.
That's what Romeo said. Romeo said integrity is one of the biggest things in this industry.
You never know where your next gig is going to come from.
And you never know who.
You never know. It's like if someone called me and said, hey man, I need a percussionist, I need a drummer.
Right.
Dr. Phil, one of the greatest guys I work with. I'm as nice to the person sweeping the floors as the person paying my check. Not just because they are paying my check. Again, I can't reiterate enough. Being a good person is a given.
It's everything.
But you never know where your call is going to come.
You know, the thing, it's funny because I'm the person that talks to the garbage men outside every Monday and Thursday when they pick up the trash. Right. I can see them. They're picking up my trash, you know, so
absolutely.
And that's something that I've always been that person, but also, you know, like I addressed in the beginning, you may not be the known person to the audience, to the fans, but you're the known person in the industry. So people know who to get to or who to talk to. Now, I'm not a known person at all. I'm not an artist. I'm none of that.
I knew who you were.
But, well, later on. But people don't know who I all know. So if you treat me like I'm a nobody because you don't know who I am, you may just close some serious doors there.
You never know when
Yeah.
someone can say, well, you're looking for a journalist? If you were mean to me, I would go, are you looking for a consultant?
Yeah, right.
Another an important thing to remember is, I always have to say, after a given point, I also will say, after a certain point in your career, in the industry, everyone's good. After a certain bar, everyone's the best at what they do.
Yeah.
After that, who are you wanting to spend 20-hour days with?
Right.
And I've done a workshop with Phil before, and some of those conversations are tense, but they're respectful.
Right.
But I'm not asking anything, and they're not asking anything of me that isn't best
That's
for the
crazy.
show.
Yeah.
Right. Or to make you better for your career. It's that I'm not saying go to the keyboard and pour syrup on it. I'm saying, hey, get here before, set your keyboard up, make sure you're good to go. That's not bad information. That's great information.
But
sometimes
you know what? If I can jump into that goes for everything in life, not just professionally or in the music industry or in any creative industry. Right. It goes for life. Like, treat people with respect, no matter who they are. And if you disagree on something, or if you have a heated discussion, that should be able to take place in an adult way. Like, you don't always have to agree. You don't always have to agree with each other, but you have to at least be able to see it from somebody else's point of view, and then make a decision like, okay, I still don't agree, but I hear you.
As long as it's done from a place of respect, mutual respect, then you can have those tense conversations. Right. Because all we want is the music and the art to be good.
To be the point. Yeah.
Just because it's pop music, that doesn't mean it's not art.
Right.
It's just popular.
Everything is art. All music is art.
People have to remember, if Lauren's still on, people have to remember at one point in time, classical music was the pop music of its day. It wasn't this.
I don't listen to heavy metal, but it's some form of art and expression.
It's an art.
You know,
it's an art.
All music.
Classical music was pop music of its day. Yeah. Jazz music, big band jazz was popular music of its day.
Music, yeah.
But now it's, we all consider it high art and things like that.
Right.
But pop music is an art, and what we, at the end of the day, you want to give a good performance or make a good record, and have the audience member or the listener or the person that's attending the concert to have an amazing experience.
Right.
Any of the musicians that are on, we all know that we go to everyone's Instagram.
Right.
And look who's working on what. We go, man, so-and-so did a great performance on Billboard. Who was the creative director? Who was the music director? Who was the lighting designer?
I got like 7 minutes left. I didn't get to touch on
TV
stuff, the film stuff.
Whatever you want to talk about.
7 minutes is too short of a time.
No, whatever you want to talk about.
You talk too much. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm trying to cut in everywhere, but I don't want to.
You cut in and just say, Kevin, stop.
Yeah, but I don't want the conversation flow to move out. So,
no.
Okay, so there are, I guess, two more things that I want to ask you. Well, I got a million more things to ask you, but two more things. One is, if you had to choose between designing music or sound and producing sound for TV and film, or only artists, what would you do? If you had to give up one, which one would it be?
If I had to give up one,
your life depends on it.
Right, I would probably choose artists, because with the artists and their concerts, there's still video wall content, so I would still be able to scratch that itch, so to speak. That's if I had to choose.
You cheating. You cheating.
I know. Yeah, with all the video wall content, it's just like going to a movie these days.
Loopholes.
So I would be able to scratch the itch on both of them.
Right.
So yeah, that would be my choice.
Okay, and then the next question, because you have worked with literally the greatest of the greatest. Hey, Amadeus. We're almost done.
Is that Deus? What's up, brother? What's up, King?
Man, you got to rewind, because we talked about you.
I brought your name up like 4 times, bro.
Right, man. We've been mentioning you.
That's right.
Anyway,
your ears are ringing.
We have 5 minutes left, so we ain't talking about you today now. So what was I going to say? See, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Having worked with all these great artists, I don't even want to mention names. People just look it up. Who is literally, aside from Quincy Jones, who is up there on that bucket list who you still want to work with?
Wow, there's so many.
No worries if you missed it. You can watch it
No,
back on IGTV.
I would love to. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a Hans Zimmer fanatic. I would
Oh,
love
wow.
to. I love Hans Zimmer.
Oh, I know
Um,
somebody who worked with him. You need to connect.
okay,
I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'll connect you.
Okay, I would love to work with him. There's anyone that hears anything I do for live concerts definitely can hear the Hans Zimmer influence. I love Hans Zimmer.
Hans
Excuse me.
Zimmer's great. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a bucket list.
The dream come true.
That would, Quincy, of course.
We're
that's
speaking it all into existence. This will happen.
That's right.
And if it does, I'll take my credit. No, I'm kidding.
That's right. That's right. The Quincy Jones and Hans Zimmer would be. I could retire and be fulfilled if that. But that doesn't mean, and again, not over romanticizing it. That doesn't mean I'm not working with the next Quincy Jones and Hans Zimmer right now, and we just don't know it. So I would love to work with them. At the same token, I might be working with the bucket list right now and don't even know it.
Right.
So I'm trying to live in the moment, but those two, I would be.
Let me just
happy.
address. You keep saying that you don't want to romanticize this and that, but I think anyone talking to me about their career and their passion, music, whatnot, we know that this is not you dismissing everyone else. Just because you mentioned Quincy Jones or Hans Zimmer doesn't mean you're dismissing other people. Doesn't mean you don't want to work with the unknowns, because the unknowns will may be the next.
They're the next known.
You said that. You said that in the beginning. You're teaching. You're training people. So anyone that has a little bit of sense knows that when you give us these answers, that you don't mean anything by it, but other than replying to my question.
Absolutely.
So
Simon, thank you, brother. Thank you,
brother. So with 2 minutes left on the clock, because I will get the countdown, what is one of the things, life mottos or things you live by, that you want to give out to the world?
Yeah, that's a good one.
You did so many interviews. Come on now.
I know.
Nobody asked you that?
Right? Yeah, and I just try to repeat myself is that, like I said, Will Smith is someone who I really admire, and it's just that, my journey isn't going to be your journey, isn't going to be Quincy Jones's journey.
Right.
It's just that, if this is really what you want to do, just don't quit. I'd rather die trying.
Right.
Than to be saying, well, if I would have done this, I might have done this. There's more joy in the journey than the destination, and that's where I messed up in my younger years. I was so bent on getting to where I am now that I stopped and not rust on your laurels, but, just, be in the moment more.
Right. Enjoy it. Take your success.
Just don't quit, man. I've had people tell me, and I'm sure anyone, no matter what you do, have had people just hate on them or say you can't do it or just didn't believe in you.
Right.
But instead of letting that be negative, let it be your fuel in a positive way, not to say, hey, but in a positive way, prove there's a difference between a dream and a vision. A dream is just something very vague. A vision has a plan.
Right.
And so I can always tell when people have a dream and not a vision. So if you can't articulate a plan, so maybe it's that, just, make sure you have a plan. Don't quit. I know we hear that a lot, but I really do believe that.
All right, we have 1 minute left. I honestly feel like I didn't even touch on all these other things that I really wanted to talk to you about, and see if you can give us some advice and some knowledge. But I may hit you up for a part 2 as well, because
let's do it.
I want to talk to you about. And thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate
thank you, everybody,
for this interview. Kevin, thank you so much for wanting to be a
thank
guest.
You, my sister.
It's such an honor to know you now.
Yes.
And
same thing, my friend.
Got to be part 2. We'll figure out the part 2.
Absolutely. And Des, me and you are way overdue to do some music together, brother.
Everyone's
way overdue
to
to
work
get back in the studio. That's right. Encore. Thank you, Lauren.
All right. We'll have a part 2, so people. I guess that's decided now. Stay tuned.
Right.
Everyone, stay safe, and
you got it, Joy.
Yeah, the part 2 will not be this next hour. We'll plan that one. We'll schedule that one in. Kevin,
awesome.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
You.
Thank you, everyone. Stay healthy. I'll hit you up on the side. So,
all right.
Motif, I'll be hitting you up too.
Motif, I'm keeping the console on for you, brother. Come on over. We're going to get to work.
All right. It's going to cut us off. Peace out, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.